Hey guys, so I have been saying that I'm going to do a wave tutorial for a while now, or a while, week or two. But I'm trying to wait until my studio space is done to be able to do that. I really need the space for it. So I thought in the meantime, I would do a little wave tutorial just to kind of go over the basics. I'm mixing my resin together right now. I just measured it out with a scale. Always, always, always measure your resin with a scale if you can. When I first started, I just kind of eyeballed it, and I would wake up the next morning and never know if whatever I worked on was going to be cured or not. It was always kind of like, please, 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 please. And now I never have to worry. Now I wake up and I can demold things enough to be able to see it and not worry if it's cured or not, which is really nice. So the bottle says, most say 3 minutes. When you're doing smaller quantities of that, you don't have to really do that. You can kind of feel when it's mixed together, but I kind of go when there's all these bubbles in here. That's why I know it's fully mixed. So I have my cups for my different colors. So always plan out how many different colors and how many cups that you're going to need, and always have a trash station as well. So I'm gonna do the top a dark blue, the bottom a light blue, and then you need one for your white pigment paste and one for clear. Do a clear line over, and I'll show you how that goes. And then you always just want to keep one for your trash. So you're going to use all these stirring sticks, and instead of sticking them down on whatever table surface you have, or mine's coated with a mixture of parchment paper and tinfoil here, you want to just stick them in this silicone cup or somewhere. I actually reuse mine. This is from a pour earlier. I just wipe them off and let them cure, and then you're good to go again. I haven't had a ton of luck with the silicone sticks that I've had so far. So anyways, this is all mixed. So now I'm going to divvy it out for the dark blue, and I just kind of eyeball how much I think I need based on the surface area. This is together, this is about almost 4 ounces. Then the light blue, the clear, which you're not going to need a whole lot of because you're just using that for a line in the wave, and you need even less for the white wave part. I use a tiny amount because even though this is pretty concentrated, you do use a fair amount, or at least I do. So the less amount of resin that you're mixing with this, the less pigment paste you're going to need to use. So all these are just for you online UK. Also, if I'm yelling, I'm sorry. I just don't know how the audio is going to come through. So I'm using their Peacock Blue, which is a very deep blue. As you can see, it's very well loved here. But I like it a little bit even darker. The beaches here on Cape Cod are like a very deep, deep, dark blue. So I'm going to mix a little bit of just regular black paint with it to get it kind of a deeper hue. And then this I won't touch at all. So let's start mixing these together. I got my stirring stick here. I'm just gonna take a little bit and I'm gonna plop it in there. I like to stir them all at once, kind of do everything at the same time. This is their sky blue. Take a little bit of that. And then this clear is gonna stay there. And then the white pigment paste is gonna go in here. So I use a pretty generous amount. This is how much I'll use for this. I like my wave, as you can see, super thick. If you like a little more milky, you might not need this much. I might not even really need all of that. But you can kind of tell once you pour it out and you start using the heat gun on it, when it starts to thin out, how translucent the wave is, and you can always just add a little bit more. So now I'm going to mix all these together. I was standing and like bending over, but it was like killing my back. That's how you know you're getting old. So this is a really pretty blue, but like I said, I like mine a little bit darker, so you just need to kind of add a couple drops of black paint. It's so hard to tell if I'm like in frame or not here. You really don't need much. I feel it's like the cooking shows where they're like, you just need a dash of salt, and then like they throw a whole handful in. I'm like, Your idea of a dash is very different than my idea of a dash. So now this is pretty deep. It actually could even be a little bit darker, but I'll leave it there for now. Then the sky blue. It's 22 degrees outside right now on Cape Cod, which we've had pretty unseasonably warm weather, so I guess we were kind of like due for it. And here is the white. All right, so the way this is gonna go is the way I do it anyway, is I pour my dark out first and then a line of my clear and then stop it about, you know, an inch before you want the rest of this wave to show, because you're gonna need to put your line of your wave. Also, I've noticed some people in watching videos, which it's hard because a lot of the videos you watch are really like sped up, but they pour it on very heavy, and when they go to blow it with the heat gun, a lot of it just falls off. It drips off the side, which that might be the look that they're going more for, but for me, I usually like how it looks when it's first poured on. So I pour on the thinner side rather than the thicker side, so that less comes off the board, and also I'm wasting less resin because, you know, as we all know, that's the most expensive part of this. So I also took me a while to kind of learn this trick, is you pinch the popsicle stick between these two fingers and grab the cup with the rest of it. I used to have a real problem with, you know, where do I put this? What if I need to stir it again? And then it was all flopping around. So kind of like scissor that, grab here. There's the first. And then our lighter wave. Now everybody mixes this differently. Some people use popsicle sticks. I like to use my hands. I've seen other people use hands. I think it gives a little bit more of a natural look. And so, I don't know if I could tilt the camera. I have a ton of paper towels up there. Your hands are gonna get really messy. Sometimes I even deglove and re-glove through this process because I can't get it all off. But from here, I'm basically just going to spread it on. I use the palm of my hand to hold the board down, which, by the way, I didn't show how this was set up, but there's these little jars that you can put your pigments in that I use, and I use those to keep some space between the table and whatever I'm working on. You can get them on Amazon. They're super cheap. Just like look up little plastic storage containers. So you want to get the top dark part covered as much as you can before you touch this lighter part, because wherever's on your hands, unless you clean it off, is going to get dragged through here. So I always kind of like to mix it up a little bit up here. And whatever wave you're going to be putting on, it's going to be covering most of this beginner color anyway. So it really just depends on what you look. I like having a little bit of the dark scene. So I actually kind of like how this looks now, but once I blow it, it's all going to come up. So I might actually end up pouring some dark on again. And I want to cover here. And then I just go around with the excess and I wipe it on the edges. That way you're not wasting it. Oh, I just got a little hair right here. And your board is covered as well. All right, now I gotta clean off my hand. All right, so the way this wave works is you pour your white pigment paste on, and then you pour a line of clear right over it. I'm telling you this now because you have to do it like pretty quickly after you've poured everything. Also make sure you hit this with your blowtorch quickly to get all these extra air bubbles out, so that you don't have to pour more than you need to. Some people also take their heat gun and blow it here to get a little bit more of a mix of the colors. I actually like the way this looks, but with resin, even if you like how it looks now, this is not how it's gonna look when it's done. So let's do the wave part, because I know that's the main deal here. Some people take the stick out and pour it on. Other people just pour it straight on. I'll do it this way. So you want to start off the side of the board and then drag it across so you don't get big globs. and then leave your cup on the side so you don't spill it on your board. You don't really have to be so exact with this. Do pour the white a little bit outside of where your blue resin or whatever color it is stops. It will meet it halfway, because otherwise it will just kind of blend all in, which it still might even do, and you'll lose the edge of this white part. So I actually want a little bit more of this covered, so I'm going to drag this down, and I'll just pull this with the stick. As long as you connect them, it will all fill in. Resin has taught me patience, because you have to have that, because things do not happen right away. All right, so now I'm going to pour my line of clear between the blue and the white. Now we're going to take the heat gun to it. I do it on a low setting. And you don't want to overwork the wave. I feel like I watch videos of this and people blowtorch it a lot and they lose a lot of it. And then just know, however big the wave is going to be, it's going to just shrink down a ton because the lacing is going to come into effect, but that will happen after. So here we go. Okay, so this looks pretty thick all right here. And now that I'm looking at this on the whole, I don't really like how this is kind of jagged, but this is kind of straight. So I'm gonna go back in here and kind of make this a little more not perfect so it can match the bottom a little bit easy. So again, you just drag where you want this to go and it will all fill in. But you can see even during that time how all the lacing is kind of pulling through. So even though this is very thick, it ends up thinning out because of all the cells. So now you take your heat gun and you just kind of lightly go over everything. You're not going to see the cells separate while you're blowing this. So you want to hit the edge where the dried resin stops and your new resin starts. You can see that this didn't connect down here, so I'll go fix that. And you're not going to see your cells happen right away, so you have to be patient with this. And you're going to continually have to go back and either continue to hit it with the heat gun, the blowtorch over time, or you're just going to leave it. So right now I'm pretty happy with how the wave looks. So I don't think I really need to do anything, but you can see how I lost a lot of the dark that I had up there. So I'm gonna go back with a little and just thin it out. I'm just pouring a line where the dark stops and the light starts, because once you pour resin, it just pushes. It's gonna push in whatever way, and most of it's probably gonna fall off, but I'm gonna push a little with my hands, very lightly. Get the air bubbles out. Now you have to watch this and continue to come back, because air bubbles will continue to resurface. So every 10 or 15 minutes so before this starts to cure, which I don't know, maybe that's an hour. It's kind of hard. I'm always doing like a bunch of different stuff. You're gonna wanna go back and just kind of move around the way you're looking at the angle and how the light's hitting it. Like I can see, you probably can't see in the camera, but I can see there's a bunch more bubbles up here. Always you want to have some of these little sticks on hand too if there's something in the resin that needs to be pulled out. Like I can see there's a little hair up here, which is probably from my cats. You're not going to be able to see bubbles so much where your waves are and your cells, but where your resin is very clear and glossy, you will. But I mean, that's pretty much it. I'm happy with this, how this came out and how it looks. When you are blowing the, using the heat gun, make sure you're not, you can see up here how it's a little bit messy. If you remove the wave of heat and air from the bottom up onto the resin, this is all wet, so it's just gonna kind of like mix and meld together. So if you like that look, that's great. I like a little bit of that because I think it looks natural, but I don't like too much of it. So that's it.